Hey guys, Wolvie here and welcome back to the channel. As always, the usual disclaimer, any opinion here is mine and mine alone. So for this video, it is part 5 of a mini-series I've been doing. Quick life update, things are still a little crazy at work, so things will continue to be sporadic regarding content, so I thank you all in advance for your understanding. So that's that on that. Some health stuff, I'm still getting used to the iron supplement that's added into my vitamin supplement regimen. So there's certain things within my private life where it's like I'm still getting used to, sense of like taking this, making sure I take things every single day, so on and so forth. So for those of you who know me, you all know that I am, in a way, in the middle of a cross-country move. So where I'm at now and where I'm going to be moving, so I do plan on moving to Washington State in the future. It's one of those things that will take several years because there are quite a few aspects where I am completely on my own. I will have practically zero help. And that is pretty heartbreaking when people actually get to know me as a person. But it is what it is, and it's something I am completely used to. Now, for Raiden, as you guys know, I've already sold that build, and it is very much because of the cross-country move, and for me having a common medical condition known as sciatica. It's about what my lower back can handle. And to bust a myth, even those who are slender can have that medical condition. There are a wide variety of factors that come into play when it comes to someone being given the diagnosis of sciatica, which involves a nerve in your lower back and does affect the way you walk. So there's a bit of a disclaimer on that. So for part 5, which is this video, and part 6, it's going to be coming down to O11 and Deadpool, because those are the 2 builds I will be taking with me. Not the OG builds that I currently have in my apartment, but the version 2 or 2.0, whichever you guys would prefer. I will be using version 2, 2.0 interchangeably going forward. So that's that on that. So before I reveal which of these 2 I'm going to be tackling here in this video, I just want to mention is that, and I'm kind of drawing a blank on what I want to say, but like I said, I will be selling these 2 builds at some point before I leave Illinois for good. And I don't know how much I'll be asking for like O11, but for Deadpool, this OG version, you see it below, I'm probably going to be asking for $1,000 on it because it's like, of the nature of the parts, all that good stuff. Now, with that bit out of the way, now which one will I be tackling here in this video and which one will part 6 involve? So, regarding this video, I am going to be going into Deadpool right over here, so I really can't zoom in this picture really that much. But I will reveal that with what I'm able to zoom in here for this photo, I will be talking about Deadpool here, and then part 6 will be O11. Because O11's more like, I'm like very much at the baby stages of planning like what parts to go with it. Considering there is I believe there's new AMD CPUs coming out in the future. I heard a rumor, I think it was Jay's 2 cents, about the new AMD motherboards coming out. Somebody in the comment section below, please confirm if what I'm saying here is correct. I just don't want to be confirming false information. I do know there are AMD CPUs coming out in the future, which is a reason why I'm going to be really taking my time with O11. But for Deadpool, this is going to be like the main focus, because when it comes to streaming setups like stuff, Deadpool version 2, 2.0, again, whatever you want to refer to it as, Deadpool version 2 will be like the backup, meaning that it's going to have certain features that O11 2.0 will have, but not as like dominant, so to speak. So I do have regarding Deadpool 2.0, again, I'm going to be using version 2 and 2.0 interchangeably, so get used to it. So for Deadpool 2.0, it's like it's going to be not as powerful in some aspects as Odin version 2 will be, because Deadpool 2.0, the backup, Odin version 2 will be like the main one. So and regarding for both of them, I do have at least the chassis that I want to use for both of them, and I'm waiting for something to come from Amazon, because it's like I have. I think it was TechSource in a recent video, like introduced a certain parts where it's something I'm definitely am going to try to hopefully get certain things like in the good sense of like certain temperature or certain parts. And what I'm waiting for right now for both Odin version 2 and Deadpool version 2, it's what's known as a contact frame, because both of these will have at least AM5. It's just a matter of like the exact CPU. So for again for this one right here, Deadpool 2.0, again I'm waiting for a AM5 contact frame. Basically, it's like where you see like the air cooler for Deadpool 2.0. That's very much the area where the contact frame is going to go. And from what I'm hearing, it helps with temperatures for the CPU. Okay, so I'm back a little bit. This is momentarily. You're kind of wondering why I'm using referring to Deadpool 2.0 version 2. Now, for the color scheme I am looking for Deadpool version 2 is going to be based on the X-Force version of Deadpool, where you see it's like a silvery gray kind of color, and then you have a significantly less amount red than before. Then you see a somewhat decent amount of black. So that's pretty much the color scheme I'm going for. So it's one of those things is where I have to really be careful with not just the color of the parts I get, but also how do I want to say, the amount of certain colors. Meaning that when it comes to the red here, you see like the red in the looks like the center of the belt buckle, and then you have the red eyes like towards the top here. So it's like I know that for Deadpool version 2, the amount of red will be very minimal, and for that, I'm probably going to go limit the red in the RAM. Now, regarding okay, actually, good. I thought I had my private information like doxing myself. I just realized, oh wait a minute, I edited it out on the freaking app. So basically here for RAM, like for Deadpool version 2. And this is going to be the only common ground that both Deadpool 2.0 and Odin 2.0 will have, is that they both will have 64 gigs of RAM. And it's going to be DDR5. Now, outside of that, I'm like, and regarding the whole thing with Deadpool having a minimal amount of red in Deadpool version 2, is like I said, I'm going to limit it to the RAM, and it looks like I have a decent amount of options. But this is where I am pretty much stumped. Now, option 1 I have here is the Corsair Vengeance RGB, where I could go into IQ and I could do the top here. I can make that top part red, which is a pretty easy thing to do because, again, I'm familiar with the IQ software. It is a pretty easy task for me to do. So that's option 1. Again, this is a decent amount, sense of like specs, because I just don't want to go. I'm not a fan of going overboard. That's just my personality. Now, so that's route 1. Go with Vengeance RGB from Corsair. Get into IQ, like turn the RGB to red, easy peasy. Now, option number 2, I found this on Amazon. This is a Team Group right here. Now, this is AMD compatible. And the RAM sticks here are red. You have here the 2x32, which equals to 64. And for the record, regarding the RAM aspects for both Deadpool 2.0 and Odin version 2, is that it's going to be 2 sticks total and 32 gigs per stick. Because when it comes to AM5 motherboards, AMD, they tend to be a bit of a you-know-what regarding utilizing all 4 DIMM slots on the RAM. And I do not want to run into that. Even though Odin, the OG, has 4 sticks of RAM, and that's 16 gigs. So it's one of those things where it's like, yeah. So on that RAM, so I have this as a second option. And then the third option here, let me grab this. And this is the, this is Corsair Vengeance, but it's not RGB. Now, a workaround I could do regarding this, instead of like doing the whole thing with like giving the whole Deadpool version 2 as minimum amount of red as possible, is that I can invest in this particular RAM set along with my personal favorite two-parter, which is get some painter tape. And like the paint, where it's like you cover certain things when you do paint jobs, get the painter's tape like to get so I can zoom in this a little bit. So I can do a little bit of a painter tape right here, and then I put some painter tape surrounding like the edges so that way it looks pretty clean, pretty professional. And then do some format of a paint job on the this part right here, the gray part. I could transform that to red. And that could be like, doing painting by hand or spray paint. Although spray painting is going to be a little bit more interesting for me to tackle, because where I live, guess what, folks? You cannot get RAM where I live, but you have, instead of like going to a store to get it directly. So that means I have to figure out an alternative way to get it, which is an absolute pain. And that's because to a local ordinance from when I was a kid. Something I have zero control over. So I have these 3 options right here, and if I do go with this particular kit, I'm really going to take my time with it. Now, the only other way I could go around with like, the minimal red would be going through the fans, but it's just like, that's just too much of a hassle for me. I'll probably going through multiple cans of spray paint, to get something relatively close. And again, if you think about the Deadpool, like the X-Force version, it's like there's a little amount of red in the costume, so it makes 0 sense. Now, I did check the timer real quick, so that way I don't go too overboard. So I do have some options here regarding RAM, although it will be 64 gigs. It's just a matter of like, what RAM do I go to? And I do have to go the DDR5 route. Now, the chassis for Deadpool version 2 will be this case right over here. This is the Lian Li O11 Air Mini in black. Now, what I particularly like about this case, and this is before I found out certain things about the O11 Dynamic Mini, is that you can support an ATX motherboard with this particular chassis, right out of the gates. And then also, this is somewhat modular than the O11 Dynamic Mini, although not as modular. I say this because when it comes to the O11 Air Mini, so you can only do it like, the modularity is a little bit more limited. I mean, and I'm already going for a micro ATX motherboard for this particular chassis, because it could fit that without an issue. And I want to have more room for like fans to be set up as exhaust, if that makes any sense. So it's one of those things where it's like I kind of knew where I was going with. Now regarding like the chassis itself, so once I get around to start doing any building here, I do have to get I have to zoom in here. So I do have to like make sure that this left side panel is completely removed, so that way I don't have to worry about getting spray paint on it like unnecessarily. What I am going to be doing for this particular chassis in the near future, I just don't know exactly when, is that I'm going to figure out how I can get this chassis itself from the color scheme you guys see now to make it a little bit more silvery / gray. because I mean that's just me. And because I like to make things more custom, make it more me. Now for the motherboard, and I know I have the motherboard that I want to use for this particular chassis. Let me see if I can grab it. I know it's in my. I know I have it. I just got done paying this particular motherboard off. It is the It's an MSI B650 motherboard, so it's a micro ATX version. I do know it's an MSI motherboard, so I have to figure out, with the whole thing with like making sure the BIOS is up to date. With that, now regarding things like storage for Deadpool 2.0, it's going to be 4 terabytes total of storage. So because it's like with Deadpool, the OG version, that's the amount of total storage in Deadpool, the first one. So it's like I want to keep the amount of storage the same. What the major improvement is going to be for Deadpool version 2 is that it's going to be more RAM, which will help me better do things that I want to do. And that's the ultimate goal. Regarding the CPU and GPU for Deadpool version 2, the CPU, and this is mainly because I know there's AMD CPUs where it's like in the 8000 series. I think they're coming out in the future of the 9000 series. Is that I probably am leaning towards the AMD Ryzen, I think it's a Ryzen 9 7900 X3D, because that's just me. And then the GPU, I'm going to be quite open on this one. I may go AMD on the GPU. I just haven't decided like which one as of yet. I just have to think about like what I want and how much I'm willing to pay. Should I be thinking about payment plans, so on and so forth. Now for the cooler, I'm debating on NCXT because like their AIO coolers have always led me the right way. They've never steered me wrong. And for the fans, I mean, I am going to go with like black fans without the RGB. It's just a matter of like budget and what I'm in the mood for. Now there are fans that came with this particular chassis. It's just a matter of if I'm willing to keep those or not. And then I know I have to invest in potentially a splitter cable, a splitter of sorts, where it's like I can like have all the fans that are not part of the cooler for the CPU like attached to that. So just something I haven't really decided on much of yet. But I do know there are fans that are included in this case. Now regarding perhaps one of the more important items, the power supply, I'm definitely going to go fully modular. It's going to depend on certain elements. I do want to go with a platinum certified power supply unit for this, but due to things with the job market, I am more than willing to go to gold certified for a power supply. I'm leaning towards a 1000 watts, but I am like open to an 850. And that's because for reasons. And the reason why I'm as open to an 850 as I am a 1000 is because, again, when it comes to like power strips, and things that don't protect against surges, it's more like what direction am I willing to go? And the reason why I am open to an 850 is because the graphics card. Because I am open to doing an AMD GPU, and what's known historically is that AMD GPUs tend to require a lower wattage power supply as opposed to NVIDIA. I am also a little on the open side for an Intel graphics card. It's just a matter of where things are for me financially. And for those who are saying, you should save up, you also have one of the biggest things you have to really consider is that we're talking about a time frame where artificial intelligence is going after jobs in every last industry. you have voice actors going on Twitter X saying that they're really starting to speak up about AI usage. And then even more recently on Twitter X, there has been posts circulating around tied to the most likely Democratic nominee for the President of the United States election, Kamala Harris. It was an AI generated clip of her. I mean, granted, the profile that was using it was saying it's parody, but they failed to disclose that they used AI to pull it off. And it was just, it's like some people never wound up disclosing it, but there were people who found out that, yeah, it's AI, they should have disclosed AI usage. And there are varying U.S. states that are working on legislation to combat AI usage in the way they do, that it's been done with Kamala Harris. Now, yes, I went off topic by mentioning voice acting and politics, but it's necessary for context behind AI going after people's jobs in practically every last industry. And that is important is because it will affect people's ability to buy computer parts. Which means that if you could do the monthly payments, just keep an eye on your other things in your finances, you're okay. Because you can save up all you want, but something else can happen and you're forced to use what you're saved up to help yourself survive. But either way, regarding the power supply, I am going to be a bit open about platinum versus gold. I mean, that's just me. But I do prefer platinum certified power supplies because it's they're more efficient. It's something I would probably use in the sense of when the time comes, I do move to the Pacific Northwest. And it's that's just, I'd rather have more efficiency than less efficiency. So on that note, part 6, when I get around to filming that, it's going to be on Odin version 2. Because it's because I know in some ways on that one, excuse me. When it comes to Odin version 2, I do have some avenues where it's a little bit more open for me. But it comes down to the obvious. So on that, I'm done with this video. With Wolfie here signing off. I will catch you all on the flip side.